We're jumping right into Top Cut now. The round 5 and the other top 4 match were both captured on a backup camera, so I don't have those videos for you right now, but they might feature on this channel as some kind of bonus content in the future. For now though, our top 4 matches feature 2 familiar faces, Aiden and Cooky. Both of these players previously featured on stream, with Aiden losing his match and Cooky winning his. Let's take another quick look at their decks and see who comes out on top. Aiden is playing Victini. This is now the third time we've seen this collaborative list built by Zach and Aiden. The list looks to combine the heavy hitting of fire Pokemon with the clean up bench hitting of Urshifu VMAX, leaving nowhere for Pokemon to hide. There are many different attackers in this matchup which can force some awkward starts for the deck if it doesn't find the right Pokemon for a particular matchup. But once the deck gets some momentum with welder plays, it's perfectly capable of demolishing opposing Pokemon and taking games. Cooky is playing the Luke Metal deck, and the coding energies will be critical to ensuring his bulky Pokemon can withstand hits. All of the Pokemon in his deck have fire weakness, which Aiden will be able to take advantage of if Cooky can't protect all of his Pokemon with those coding energy. While he only plays 3, he shouldn't have a problem finding those, seeing how he plays the Tag Haul engine which can find him coding energy. The Zamazenta will play a role here too. In round 3 we saw Zamazenta tank hits, and in round 4 it never even hit the bench. Here in top 4 however, Zamazenta will block Urshifu and Victini VMAX's attacks, while Aiden's GX and basic fire Pokemon won't be affected by the Dauntless Shield ability. Aiden's Victini deck probably has the edge in this matchup. If Cooky can get coding energy onto his Pokemon, Aiden will have to work that much harder to score knockouts. But Aiden's one copy of the Phoebe supporter card is very scary, as ignoring coding energy, Full Metal Wall, Dauntless Shield, and Metal Goggles can turn the tide of a match very quickly, even if it's just for one attack. Cooky can still hit very hard with Zacian V. If Aiden is too slow to evolve his V Pokemon into VMAXs, Cooky can knock out these 220 hit point Pokemon and take some very quick prizes of his own. Let's see how this plays out. And here we are, the top 4 is about to be underway. We've got Aiden on the left and Cooky on the right. Now, both these players have played on stream already, and we saw Cooky win his match as the Luke Metal Zacian deck, while Aiden lost his Victini Urshifu, the Victini deck, I should say, when he played against ADP. Now we see both players having a look here. The rules for this tournament: in the top 4 you are provided a copy of your opponent's deck list, so you have full knowledge of all 60 cards that they play. So you're given this deck list and you can refer to it anytime you like. You can check for tech cards in matchups. For Aiden, this deck list won't be a super valuable resource, as Cooky's list isn't very teched out. It's a fairly standard Luke Metal list. However, Cooky, as we see right now, who is looking over Aiden's deck list here, very valuable resource, as he gets to see all the tech fire Pokemon that Aiden has put in this matchup, and these fire Pokemon could give Cooky quite a lot of trouble if he can't consistently get the coding energies onto his metal Pokemon in play. Now Cooky is mulliganed twice, so Aiden will be getting extra cards to start this matchup, and this should get the ball rolling for him very quickly, and might only take a bad turn or two from Cooky to really leave him far behind in this matchup. That fire weakness on his Pokemon really puts him at a disadvantage here. So we do see a starter Pokemon now on Cooky's side. It's that Luke Metal, and sitting across from it is the Heatran GX. Heatran GX can attack fairly cheaply with the Steaming Stomp attack. For 3 fire energy you do 130. However, with weakness that is 260, which is enough to knock out this Luke Metal if Cooky isn't able to get something like Metal Goggles or a Full Metal Wall boost going. Aiden has a quick turn 1 where he attaches fire and benches Victini. Cooky's turn now. We see the capture energy, bring out the Zacian V from the deck. Zacian V is a very strong attacker. It can knock out all of Aiden's basic Pokemon before they evolve, aside from the Mew and the Mewtwo Mew and the Reshizard. So Cooky ends his turn with an Intrepid Sword. His hand looks alright. He's got a Quick Ball for next turn and Metal Energy in hand, but that Luke Metal's in real trouble if Aiden just happens to find a Welder this turn. He's Giant Hearth in hand and the Dene in hand, so he'll have a lot of opportunities to dig for that Welder, and if he finds it, he's in a phenomenal position in this game 1. I think we also see the Crobat, and as well as that we have Computer Search, Pokemon Communication and Quick Ball, so Aiden should be able to get his hand down very low so he can Crobat before he Dedenes, and he'll be able to look at quite a lot of cards in his deck. Fire Energy comes down on the Heatran here, and the Giant Hearth is in play now, so it's only a matter of finding the Welder, as Aiden can use any other card in his hand to find that Fire Energy after discarding it to the Giant Hearth. Quick Ball comes down, discarding that Phoebe. Phoebe can be useful in this matchup if your Victini VMAX happens to be your only attacker and Cooky tries to wall Aiden with the Zamazenta. Phoebe will allow the Victini to punch through that, but for the most part I think Aiden is content to rely on his other attackers in this matchup. You have enough non-VMAX Pokemon to handily take down something like a Zamazenta. So Aiden's done a great job of thinning down his hand. He plays that Crobat for 5. No Welder, so he Dedenes. He'll be drawing 6 here. And once again, no Welder. So, a bit unfortunate there of Aiden to miss Welder, having gotten to see 11 cards from his support Pokemon this turn. Those Pokemon are just sitting there now, kind of stuck there. They'll be easy targets for the Zacian V, should we get into a kind of a later game here, bit of an end game. However, that is contingent on Cooky getting a little bit more set up. Those dolls could buy him some turns if he's still slow to set up. We see action back on Cooky now. So, a Quick Ball. Quick Ball can find perhaps another Zacian. Zacians you put on your bench aren't always safe, especially now that Aiden has 2 energy on that Heatran. So if Aiden just happens to have Boss and Fire Energy, he can take down a Zacian. Cooky choosing not to grab another Zacian here, however. He's really loading up on that first one here. He's we see one too many Metal Saucer from Cooky. Good spot there from Aiden. And the Full Metal Wall rips those energy away from the Heatran here. So one Zacian on board for Cooky. However, it is beginning to be set up with that Metal Saucer putting energy onto it. And with no energy on Aiden's board, the boss play for a knockout can't really happen on 1 energy in Aiden's deck. So we see an evolution to the Teeny VMAX here. Fire Energy come down on it. I think Aiden's signaling here that he'd just like to spend a turn using the Spreading Flames attack. That attack would set up his board pretty nicely, putting 3 energy from his discard pile onto his Pokemon. So we could see something like Reshizard or the Heatran GX getting set up here. Aiden just going for a Professor's Research here, digs even deeper in his deck. His fire decks usually rely on Welder to just draw about 3 cards at a time, but when you play things like Crobat and the Dene and Professor's Research, you can dig a bit quicker, get to the bottom of your deck a bit faster, and makes those Welder plays a fair bit easier when you have fewer cards to work with. So we see 3 energy come down the Reshizard. Cooky bossing for the Heatran and just passing. Not even going for the Steel Fist. Might have been nice to get an energy down on that, but I think he sees that this Luke Metal's in real trouble here, and no, sorry, Aiden's gone for the boss on the Zacian. Exactly what I imagined Cooky was afraid of here. Cooky is now without a strong attacker, and had he Steel Fisted last turn, he might have a bit more damage on board for this turn, but as it is now, Cooky's position looks fairly weak. Amani might be able to buy him just a little time. That Victini VMAX won't knock out a GX Pokemon, even with weakness. However, that Reshizard's just ready on the bench, and with the fire energy in hand, I would say that Aiden is looking fairly comfortable to take game 1 here. So we do see Cooky finish his turn with a Steel Fist this time. He'll get to search his deck for a Metal Energy and attach it to the Luke Metal here. However, there are no Coding Energy on this Luke Metal, so a Double Blaze will do the job from the Reshizard, as will a Flare Strike, should Aiden choose to attach one of those energy in his hand. Victini VMAX can retreat, but he doesn't even have to, as Aiden has the switch in hand, so Aiden will be taking all but his last prize this turn, while Cooky will be left with nothing but a board of dolls and a lot of work left to do. You do see that Double Blaze come down. Cooky just trying to play it out, just see what happens here. I think it's a little bit too much for him to come back into this. We do see the Guzmahala. Guzmahala is a good play at the start of the game for the Luke Metal players, as there's that Coding Energy. Just a little too late, unfortunately. So a Coding Energy and a Metal Goggles comes down onto the Luke Metal here. So it can't be one hit, at least. The Metal Goggles and the Full Metal Wall will reduce the damage done to it by 60, and the Coding Energy, perhaps more importantly, stops weakness. So it looks like Aiden will have to find a way to get past these dolls and two-shot this Luke Metal here. Aiden's hand's looking pretty large, so I imagine he has some kind of solution to the problem he's facing here. Remember that Cooky needs a lot of energy to get his attacks going. Maybe he can absorb a hit for a turn, but doing 150 damage at a time for 4 energy with that heavy impact is not going to cut it. Cooky really needs a Zacian V here, and he somehow needs that to survive an attack for him to really be in this. Aiden's really looking to put the hurt on him now. He's found the Marshadow, so we can bump that Chaotic Swell and put a Giant Hearth into play. I believe we see a welder in Aiden's hand, so yeah, 2 even. So we can discard that rapid strike energy. He won't be using that in this matchup. Rapid strike, Urshifu, VMAX. Not a very strong attacker in this Luke Metal matchup, as we saw in round 3. Cooky taking a little time just to take another look at that list. Maybe there's something he's overlooked. Maybe there's something for him to plan about in round 2. Sorry, game 2, however. And Cooky's only card is a Metal Saucer, so he understands that he can't really stall forever. Concedes, and we're going to a game 2. And we even saw the top deck from Cooky, and it was a coding energy, so Cooky's board going in 2 turns from now would have been a Luke Metal with 3 energy on it, and that's it. Just not doing any damage really, just absorbing hits from these really powerful fire Pokemon that Aiden plays. So right now we're setting up for game 2. Aiden has taken a 1-game lead in this top 4. So the winner of this match obviously will play in a finals match. And the winner of that finals match will be getting quite a lot of Pokemon TCG product in their prizing. And they also get a pretty cool trophy actually. The Aiden, who runs the events, he got a very nice first place trophy for the winner box here. So it's a high stakes event, this Pokemon TCG event here in Brisbane. You can win trophies, you can win lots of Pokemon. So there's the fist bump, and we are into game 2. Cooky has the starter this time, which is good. He won't be generously donating extra cards for Aiden to draw. Starts the Zacian, and Cooky's going first. Now going first is always good to get your attackers just a little bit more set up. You get to get energy on board, and maybe even by turn 2 or 3 you start attacking. For Aiden, however, he doesn't mind going second. We do see that Volcanion starter. Best starter in the deck if you do happen to be going second. A Flare starter attack can really get your board going early on in the game. And if he does, once again, it'll be on Cooky to really get those coding energies down thick and fast. So there's an Intrepid Sword from Cooky there. Just adding some cards to his hand. Always a nice thing to do going first in turn 1. Cannot attack, but in most decks you just say pass, but in a deck with Zacian you get to draw 3 cards, and if you find energy you get to attach them too, so very powerful ability there. So Aiden's getting the ball rolling here. He's benched a Rapid Strike Urshifu V, which I find a bit strange, as it doesn't have great damage output in this matchup, especially once Cooky gets those defensive boosts going, but perhaps he can look to a late game VMAX Rapid Flow just to sort of clean up some heavily damaged Pokemon off the bench. Could also be good just to wipe out a few dolls. However, you are spending a lot of energy for that, so you really have to consider how much that is, how badly you need to do that. Because spending a lot of energy in this matchup only to discard them off your Pokemon and sort of leave an otherwise useless VMAX high and dry. Might not be great if it gets stuck there in the active. Aiden does play a lot of Switch, however, so that play's open to him, and he has put an energy on that Urshifu V here, so that guy will just be waiting on deck, and if Aiden needs it, he has access to it. Otherwise, I think we're just going to see the same old usual fire attackers here in this matchup. So Aiden's quick balling. I think we see the Crobat in deck. We see another Dedenne too. He could really dig kind of deep here, and if he were to find a boss and an energy, he could deal a pretty nice 220 damage to one of Cooky's Pokemon. Now this would ordinarily knock out a Zacian V, but we see that Cape of Toughness on it, so that Cape brings the Zacian V just out of range of a high heat blast. So the boss does come down. Aiden is valuing getting damage on board early. This forces Cooky into either healing or just getting a... Oh no, we see the Victini VMAX. I missed that entirely. The max victory does 220, but after a weakness, that is a knockout well and truly. So instead of going for the bad play I thought of, he went for a much better play, and it looks like it's paid off. Cooky, however, will get to swing the momentum back in his favour just a little bit with a full metal wall this turn. It will deprive that Victini VMAX of the energy, and with the metal goggles and the coating energy, this Luke Metal will take a real beating. And we do see that Malulana in hand from Cooky as well, so that Luke Metal is probably about to absorb a real bludgeoning here, but if Cooky can keep that healing up while he gets his other attackers set up, he's still in a good position. Chooses to money it to the bottom, however. Finds a couple more Zacians. Chooses not to bench them, however. We just see the full metal wall come into play, shredding the energy off that Victini VMAX. However, Aiden could get that powered up again without too much trouble. Of course, against a GX Pokemon, that max victory's damage is capped at 100. Coating energy doesn't allow weakness to be applied, so hopefully Aiden sees that there's a better play than a max victory for 40. I think he'll be going for Spreading Flames again. Yes, he's found the 2 energy that were just discarded, and he's putting them back onto his Pokemon. So Victini VMAX is fully powered up again, and Reshizard is probably only one good welder away from joining the battle as well. So Aiden has a pretty frightening attacker up front in that Victini VMAX, but should also consider the pretty strong attackers just waiting on deck. We've got the Volcanion, the Reshizard, and the Urshifu, all probably not more than a turn away from attacking. Cooky's turn, however, he does find that coating energy coming down on that Zacian V, so it's looking a lot more comfortable than in game 1, just avoiding that weakness. Aiden doesn't have any way to take special energy away from Cooky, so those coating energies are here to stay. Aiden will have to play around them. Aiden's just playing it slow, going for the Flare Starter, getting that Reshizard set up for a big attack. He might even be setting up for the full powered Double Blaze GX. If you get 6 energy onto the Reshizard, the power of Double Blaze goes from 200 to 300, but more importantly you ignore all effects on the defending Pokemon. So defensive effects like the Full Metal Wall and the Metal Goggles, and most importantly Coating Energy, will be neutralized by the attack, so we'll just go right through those and probably get a pretty big knockout for Aiden here. Cooky gets the knockout with the heavy impact here, so Cooky won't be completely shut out in this match, even if he doesn't manage to win here. Heavy impact doing 150 to the Volcanion. Good for a knockout, but it can't be comforting to him to see that Aiden has promoted the Victini VMAX here. Normally you would promote the Reshizard if you wanted to put any significant damage on board, but this might indicate that Aiden has a boss. And even without the weakness from Coating Energy, Zacian V is still in range of a max victory here. Although I'm looking at Aiden's hand, it doesn't appear that he has a boss's orders, so maybe he's just looking to do a good chunk of damage to that Luke Metal, getting it set up for a knockout next turn. Oh no, there is the boss. There was a card in hand, looked kind of red, so Aiden will go for that max victory. It is not a knockout. My mistake. I forgot about Full Metal Wall, but that just goes to show you how important that attack can be in this matchup. So that Zacian V will be hit for just 190, but here we see how that Victini VMAX could, the Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX could come into play. Aiden would only need 30 more damage on that Zacian V to knock it out. So, and as Cooky doesn't play any bench defense like Mew, that Zacian V isn't safe anywhere unless Cooky were to Mellow Liner it. We do see that Mellow Liner in hand, so that might be how he chooses to proceed this turn. Quite a few tag team supporters in Cooky's hand. Eyeing up that boss. Boss is up the Reshizard. I think he wants to just tag that up. Oh no, we see a we see a heavy impact, looks like. So just tagging that Reshizard, getting it set up for another heavy impact or a Brave Blade. However, Cooky is still in trouble if Aiden can find 3 energy to put on that Reshizard. He's going to retreat. Oh, interesting. So he's promoting the Rapid Strike Urshifu V, so that play I talked about earlier where he just snipes down the Zacian V and gets a little bit of superficial damage on the Luke Metal. So Aiden gets to take 2 prizes, just because he's hunted down the bench Pokemon without having to use boss's orders. Now while he is left with an empty Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX here, a switch and a welder could really get him right back in this. He hasn't used that GX attack yet, Aiden, so Double Blaze is still there, ready for him, but I think it's very likely we're not going to be seeing the 6 energy ignore the effects Double Blaze for 300, well 600 even after weakness. Cooky's going for the Cynthia Caitlyn. It's looking a bit like the first game again, where he doesn't have any other attackers other than the Luke Metal, which doesn't have a very high damage ceiling. He would need to find, again, he would need to find a Zacian to really get anything going here. Just doing chunks of 150 is not going to be enough. Cooky can't stall out with Mellow Lana forever. Aiden's getting another Victini set up. So the card we saw in the first matchup that Aiden discarded, we saw a Phoebe go to the discard pile. That Phoebe could be a game winner if he just manages to find it and a switch, as the Victini VMAX is already set up for an attack. However, that would require Cooky to get more Pokemon into play, but it seems inevitable that he's going to have to do that to regain any footing in this matchup whatsoever. He really just can't defend with this Luke Metal forever. He has to take some initiative, and that might mean putting a vulnerable Pokemon on the bench, like a Zacian or perhaps even a Zamazenta. I do see him find that coding energy first, so whatever Pokemon he puts into play will get the benefit of being defended by that coding energy. And a Metal Saucer comes down, so Cooky will be close to attacking next turn. And we see another heavy impact, so the Rapid Strike goes through VMAX, has 300 damage on it, still not enough to knock it out. And Aiden just goes for the pass here, so he's just handed that VMAX off to Cooky for free. He did get good value in knocking out the Zacian, however, but he wasn't able to find a switch, so it just sat there and continued to be hit until it was knocked out.
Somehow you do, not me. You, like, both of them take 6 prizes. You only need 4, but still. It'll work.
Cooky taking one more look at his discard pile, seeing what he's used up in this matchup. The Mellow Lana healing that Luke Metal completely. So this looks a lot better for Cooky now. He's only 2 prizes away from taking game 2 here.
Take 2, 3. You take 3? Yeah.
And this Zamazenta is immune to the VMAX. Ooh. Oh, we see the Eldegoss for game. So the Phoebe was in the discard pile. Aiden has Eldegoss use the Happy Match ability to grab that Phoebe. And Phoebe will let the max victory attack go through all the defensive effects on that Zamazenta. So Aiden takes game 2, and he'll be playing in the finals. Cooky fought hard, but ultimately it looked like a pretty rough matchup. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the finals.
You switched into the doll.
I had another switch. So I go switch into Luke Metal, back into Luke Metal.
Yeah. Yeah, we